All right, welcome to Morning Live and thank you so much for staying with us. Now, we recently reported you on Morning Live on the news that Rose Tatane, a wife of Andries Tatane, had died in a car accident, and it was also reported that she was on her way to Lesotho to buy water when the vehicle she was traveling in lost control. The township of Meqheleng, where Tatanes lived, had been at the forefront in the fight of service delivery. The Tatane family made headlines back in 2011 when Andries Tatane was involved in a fist fight with police that was during service delivery protest in Ficksburg. The scuffle ended up in police shooting Tatane, and the incident shocked the country, and back in March 2013, the Ficksburg Regional Court acquitted the 7 police officers that were accused of Tatane's death. But Rose's death leaves many questions than answers in terms of service delivery, specifically the provision of water in the Free State province. We take this discussion further, and we joined in our studios in Johannesburg by the provincial Cocta HOD, Mokiti Duma, and also Ntate Sputnik Ratau. He's the spokesperson of the Department of Water and Sanitation. Good morning to you, Ntate, and thank you so much for coming through.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Palisa.
Ntate Duma, let me just start with you. I would imagine this is said that Rose died on her way to Lesotho to go buy water. That's at least according to the reports that we received. And we know in 2011 her husband, Andries Tatane, died during a service delivery protest where the shortage of water was at the forefront. How does the provincial government respond to this?
No, thanks for the opportunity, Palisa. Let me just first start by indicating that the reports about Rose, as the department, we made some investigation, and the preliminary results that we came up to is that the story is actually unfounded because on the very same day the accident actually happened, Meqheleng and the entire Ficksburg was with water. We acknowledge and understand that most of the towns in the province are experiencing water shortages, and that is attributed to a number of factors, which I will allude to at a later stage. But you would also ask yourself, why, if indeed this person went to Lesotho to go buy water, why would she go and buy water in Mapoteng, which is almost 80 kilometers from the border of Ficksburg?
All right, that we don't know, but what I know is that when I go home, I go buy water in town as well. So the issue of water shortage in that area specifically, and many other towns in the Free State, it's still a problem.
Of course, I acknowledge the fact that there's serious water shortages in the province. A number of towns are affected, and that is attributed to a number of factors. Look, the first factor would obviously be the aging infrastructure, and then the one that is commonly known, it's the drought that we recently experienced.
I wanted to say, so that is quite recent.
Yes.
The problem dates back to many years ago.
Yes, but if you would recall that as a country we have not had waters for more than 6 years. It has not been coming down. The rain has not been falling for quite a number of years. And, you know, looking at most of the towns in the province, they are quite old, you know, so is their infrastructure. Yeah. So a lot of water gets lost along the line when it gets transported through to communities.
And I believe that is where the Department of Water and Sanitation comes into the picture. And the situation in the Free State is dire.
The situation is dire, that is correct. It has been a bit better over the last few months because of the rains. But obviously, because we are going into the winter, we're going to go back into that cycle again, which we must obviously make sure that we don't get into the same setup. But I think one of the critical issues that we must go back to is that one of the things that the minister did when she came into office was to go into the provinces and engage with the provinces to say, let each province have what we call a provincial master plan that informs the needs of the province generally, but the needs of the municipalities that then will inform in the ultimate what we will have as the National Water and Sanitation Master Plan. And fortunately, and I think Ntate Duma can attest to that, in the Free State, they have gone through that process. There is a master plan in place. But maybe just to localize the discussion to the issue around the area that we're talking about now. and to say that there is a lot of work that we are doing with the municipality, and part of what we are doing is through the Regional Bulk Infrastructure Grant. We have started doing some work in terms of, a pipeline that has been put in place to be able to assist when the Caledon levels go down, but also to look at part of what we need to do is to look at the issue of infrastructure maintenance and operations.
I wanted to come to that issue because that's the story that we've been hearing all along, dilapidated pipes, aging infrastructure, but why is it not being fixed? The problem has been dragging for quite a while now.
Two issues that I might want to raise is one, as Ntate Duma has alluded to, the infrastructure is old, but also there is a backlog in terms of where we should have been, considering people's migration into towns and so on and so forth. But also the backlog is such that it's a lot of money that we are going to need to be able to do that. The truth of the matter is that at the moment we do not have that kind of money. But part of what we want to achieve, especially through the provincial master plans, is to say what are we going to be able to do in order to be able to source that. Yeah. And part of what we are looking at is obviously tag into the the Presidential Infrastructure Coordinating Commission that was set up particularly to look at the issues of infrastructure, not just development, but refurbishment, operations and maintenance.
All right. And Ntateduma, not many as such, but a few months ago, water was released from the Sterkfontein Dam, which is situated in the eastern part of the province, specifically in QwaQwa. And a lot of QwaQwa residents were very furious that they're struggling to get water, their taps are dry, and yet water is being released to Gauteng instead of supplying them.
Look, let me address that in 3 ways. One, when the water was actually released from Sterkfontein Dam, it was actually sent to Ficksburg, because the entire QwaQwa, as you would see it, covers the Ficksburg Dam, covers the entire area of QwaQwa.
Which was completely empty. The Ficksburg Dam
it was less than 2%. So you would imagine that if water flows from Sterkfontein Dam into Ficksburg Dam, and when rains are not falling, it means the levels are not actually picking up at the rate where we would have expected them to pick up. So that is the first problem. The other problem, like I'm saying, there's a money that has actually been put aside to assist in terms of laying the pipe to augment from Sterkfontein Dam to Ficksburg Dam. The same with Millspruit to actually Caledon, so that if we don't experience rains, at least one river can then assist in terms of augmenting to the other river. And the main issue, like that the Rata has indicated, it's actually the aging infrastructure. You know, we've got a period where a lot of our infrastructure was not maintained. The other part of what I wanted to also talk about was the issue relating to the human resource. In most municipalities, we do not have, qualified people to actually manage and mend some of the wastewater purification plants. Which
is the issue that I wanted to come to, the capacity of the municipality in making sure there is a plan B. Because Ntate Ratau makes mention of the fact that there aren't enough finances now to make sure that the aging infrastructure is sorted out. But the municipality, isn't it the responsibility of municipalities to ensure that at least in that Duma there is something, because they even go for 4 days without water in those areas?
We know that. I think it's the responsibility of the municipality to ensure that they get skilled people to actually be able to mend the water purification plants. And what we are currently doing now is to ensure that when vacancies exist in a municipality, priority is actually given to all service delivery related vacancies, like your water and wastewater purification plant. We want people who are actually qualified. And what we've actually done as the department, we have initiated a process where we make funds available to assist municipalities to establish laboratories on site. Because part of the problem was that the water was tested kilometers away from the municipality. And then people did not know or understand what the quality of the water is like. But now the program we're coming up with is to ensure that we establish those labs on site, and then water gets tested on hourly routine basis so that people know exactly the type and the quality of water that they are drinking.
That sounds like a process, and I'm afraid we've run out of time, but thank you so much to both of you for having made time to come to our studios this morning to clarify this matter. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, Mokiti Duma is Kokta HOD in the Free State Province, and Sputnik Ratau is the spokesperson for the Department of Water Affairs, talking to us about the problem or the crisis of water shortage in the Free State Province. It is just over 8 o'clock and it's time for your news update. Leanne is standing by.